We are in True Parents' house, but somebody's not here. My Yoko. Oh, you are here. Sit in the front. She's what makes life good. I'm going to be talking about making life good, actually. Oh, did anybody notice my tie? You guys never see me with a tie. I don't like them. But I've been thinking about wearing this one for 6 months. And so I was thinking of a special occasion. This is it. Hideko Lewis. I don't think she's here now, but she gave it to me. But when I see this tie, I see my wife. And that's why I really wanted to wear it. I look better if my wife is next to me. Okay, the first story I'm going to tell you is about how I became perfect. Okay, this is how it happened. It was only about a year ago, maybe 2 years when I started. And my wife was reading, she was reading the 3-hour version of Divine Principle. I think the quote on many of the members were reading, first they were reading 1 hour 100 times. And then they were reading the 3-hour 100 times. And then they were reading the 12-hour 100 times. So I'm competitive, okay? And Yoko's reading, she's around number 23 or 24 in the 3-hour. And at that time, Discovering Divine Principle came out, Reverend Balcom. I think they had the video of it, but they also had an audio of it. I am a mailman, and I listen to books all the time. I love books. It's a different lecture, but I won't get on the books. But I got my children to download it for me, and I determined, anyway, I was going to beat her, for one thing. And I did it. I can't remember if it's 2 hours and 20 minutes or 2 hours and 40 minutes, around 3 hours, though. And I would read it once each day until I read it 100 times. Spiritual things began to happen a little bit. Yoko remembers better than me some of the things. But, you know, things were changing, doing this every day, this kind of a condition, this kind of putting this goodness into us, right? What Father's reading Hundoke every day, just putting this goodness and this greatness, you know, into yourself every day. Good food, right? What's it going to bring? It's going to bring goodness, just like it brings in our children. They eat good food, they become beautiful. They become beautiful children, no matter their age. So anyway, becoming perfect. So right before me, Yoko, and Joy, who went on it? A few people went on it. Mommy, who went on it? Grace too, I thought so, 4, right? We went on the bus trip to visit the holy grounds. So I was with Reverend Kim and with Reverend Jenkins. So I told them, I said, I became perfect on Thursday. Let me see, where was I? It was being perfect. So I think Reverend Jenkins came back after I told him this little story, how I became perfect, and he said, oh, I'm going to become perfect on Wednesday. Today is what day? Who knows the date? April 17th. It's a good day, but I like April 18th really a lot. In 1977, I ran the Boston Marathon. All right? 3 hours, 25 minutes, okay? A lot of people with gray hair beat me, though. It pissed me off. And because I kind of hurt my legs at the end. I was kind of getting cramps. And anyway, there's another story, too. But April 18th is another beautiful day because I was downstairs and something happened on April 18th. And it was going to change my life. It was going to make my life better. Who makes my life better? You guys are good. You guys are good. That's right. Yoko and my children and your children. How are we going to be happy? I wrote it on the back here. I didn't know I was going to be here, but I can't quote so good. But everyone is struggling to attain happiness and avoid misfortune. This came from a really good book. Came from a really good book. I don't know so much about this book. Who knows this book? Who really knows this book? I know very little of it. I do. I just know very little of this book. I'm thinking of Jerry Servito in the back. Maybe he knows it a bit. Maybe more in depth and things like that. But where was I? I was on April 18th, tomorrow. I forget the year. I'm not good with the years. But I met somebody downstairs, and she wanted to change my life. She started talking about her daughter, and I liked her daughter a lot already. So that was Carla Allen. And, you know, just a few words were coming at me, just downstairs, and I was saying, oh, she is thinking about son Marie and my son Sungkook. I like her. I've had my eye on her. So what's important in life? What's important in life? What's important in life is that I'm happy. Father said it. Father said it here. Everyone is struggling to attain happiness. It's important that I'm happy. Who am I? I am you. This part is for the first generation. I am you. We want to be happy. Who can make us happy? Of course, our spouse, number one. Our spouse, number one. But our families. We love our families. Right? You give anything. You give anything for your families. Where am I going with this? I got to find it now. Okay, let's go to yesterday. I'm trying to put this together, and so I went to the basketball court. We have a park down there, and I went to the basketball court, and the kids are playing basketball, and they're practicing their cursing. They're practicing their cursing, okay? They're like my children. They're as old as my children. What do they practice? They practice their cursing. What other fallen things are they practicing? You know? I think about Grace. And do I want to match her with these people who are practicing their cursing, who are practicing, they're talking about sex all the time, and, you know, how do I get this girl? I come from the boys' point of view, so I'll be picking on boys. I came up in the fallen world. I know who they are. I always hope the girls were better, but I don't know. But I know who the boys are. And I know where they come from. Do I want to match my daughter to this person? You know? No. I don't. I love my children. So who better to help our children to find their match? Who better? We love them. We care for them. And second generation, stand up now. I don't care if you're young, stand up. Okay, when you look in this room, you can sit down now. And you see the pool of people. I'm not saying you're perfect yet. But these are people who are trying to become a much better person and much better people. They're working on the things because our true parents have given us ammunition. They've given us secrets that nobody else knows, And who is guiding them and helping them? That's you, the parents, the wonderful parents. Okay, let's clap for somebody. Let's clap for the parents. The children clap for the parents. Our investment is our children. I like to talk about money, but money is nothing in comparison with our children. Give to God what is God's, to Caesar what is Caesar's. We have to do that. So we live in a money world. But what's important? They always talk about when you die. Do you talk about your money? You don't talk about your money. You talk about what you love and what you care for. It's your children. It's our investment. So, I can go two ways here. Okay, I'm going to talk about true father and true mother. I'm going to talk about Belvedere. Second generation, who's been to Belvedere? Raise your hands. Okay. And first generation, many of us went. Father, all the time, when he talked to us, Father talked to us about the love relationship between husband and wife. And I listened to Father, that part, because I was usually awake then. Because always in the beginning, you know, maybe the first hour, hour and a half, kids, you might not know. Father's talking for hours and hours and hours. And we started at 3 o'clock in the morning to try to get there, you know, on time for 5 o'clock. And Father always talked about the love relationship. We weren't married, we weren't blessed yet, and nothing like that. But Father always talked about that. I think he brainwashed me. I said the word. But I think he did, successfully. And I got that from Father. Love your spouse. So, even I was reading the book the other day, you know what they said? Love your spouse. And they were specific, actually. They talked about the husband loving the wife, actually. And they said, if you want to be happy, your wife has to be happy. So, I think it works both ways. I'm positive it does. But if you want to be happy, your wife has to be happy. Your husband has to be happy. That's your investment. It goes back to divine principle. I don't go back to the part where the misfortune part, but I go to the wanting happiness part. I want to be happy. And I can only be happy. I can't make myself happy, maybe this much. Yoko, this much. If my family does well, this much. If you children can get from your parents the investment. The parents' investment is time. It's kind of like compound interest, actually. But time. I really don't like and I don't believe in, what do they call that kind of time, that weird thing they called it? Special time, exclusive time? What do they call that? I can't remember the word. Quality time. Most things, quality is better, not time. Quantity time. That's who you love. Take the time. Listen to them. I want to protect my children. I want to raise them up. I'm lucky. They're all living in my house. I love it. I love it. Different than from a lot of our parents, they wanted to kick us out. You're 18, get the hell out of here. You know, I heard it many times. And, but different, because Father taught me differently. I want to protect them. They're stronger than I am. They think they are, at least. Some are making more money than me. I don't care. I'm still stronger. I have to protect them. I have to give them the good launching pad, make sure it's strong enough so they can do well in their family. How come? Why? Come on, I've been telling you the answer all day. What'd you say? I want to be happy. If my children are happy, I'm happy. If my children don't get pregnant when they're 16, because I've been teaching them the right way, I'm happy. Somebody calls me up and says, oh, Daddy, I'm pregnant, you know? And I go, yeah! Yeah, great. Or somebody calls me up and says, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a baby. I say, oh, shit. You know? They're not married. We don't know who the boy is, you know, or the girl, whichever way it goes, you know, like that. I'm not happy. So your investment of time, of listening, of loving your children, that's what is important, and that's what's going to make you happy. I want everybody to be happy, okay? Father taught us happy. You know, it's kind of simple, the things that Father taught us. They're common, they're decent. Anyway, true parents rock. That's the way I think it. I love true parents. I came from hell. I lived in hell. Partly your problem because of you. I gotta blame somebody. So now I'm going after you. Who joined before 1979? Raise your hands. You, I'm blaming, okay? I gave you chances to witness to me. I gave you chances to witness to me. All you people, I was in hell. Somebody came into the bar one time, you know. I remember they were selling a flower. I was drunk off my mind, and they said they were a missionary, and I said, oh, I can remember for some reason. And I said, oh, I'm not a very good person. You know, you're a good person. And I think I gave them $2, and I gave the flower away. Something like that. Maybe they came the closest to witnessing to me. And then, I got out of the Army in California. I was there for 3 weeks. I looked good. You know, nice short hair and looked like a good guy. 3 weeks. Nobody talked to me. No member, at least. No member talked to me. I suffered. I'm pissed off. I suffered for another year and a half. I was in hell. I'm not getting into that part of the story, but I lived in hell for 6 years. I lived in hell for 6 years. A little bit I'm joking to you because I don't see you all, but it's true. If somebody would have talked to me a year and a half before I joined in Oakland, I ended up joining there, I wouldn't have had to suffer. I wouldn't have had to suffer like that. And then now I'll get some of you locals. Even 3 or 4 months before I actually joined in California, I was working in Tarrytown. I was working on Rockefeller's land. I was less than right there in Satan's face. It's good. It's really good. So, Hiraki sounds like I'd call her a big mama, loving mama. Her English is okay. Her English is only okay. But she's very embracing and loving there. And I see, we go in there, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 of the cafeteria tables, they take over in the morning. And over here, I was with Joy. Joy was also there with Mayoko. And Hiraki-san said, Joy, sit with the younger people over here. So she went over there, and this is Joy's story. But Joy went over there, and she started talking to one of the second generation. And they were talking about GPA, NGA, the IPEC Center, which I hardly even knew about. And I think they talked for a half hour. And all of a sudden, the second generation wasn't the second generation, but he was a new member. What was that? A new member. And this area here I saw something maybe I've never seen before. Second generation, I'll get on you a little bit now, okay? Because I saw turned on kids for reaching out. Reaching out. We call it witnessing, call it reach out, okay? And they were excited. I saw, I don't know what they were, members, non-members, I'm not positive. Some, kids just hanging out, they're on the guitar, and they're enjoying themselves over here. It's light. But I see, what excited me more than anything else is I see turned on second generation to reach out. And I think my children are very, very involved in doing very many things, but everything they do is within the church. It's in reach. It's all in reach. It's not reaching out. And what I saw here, like I said, a turned on second gen, relaxed, having a good time, but they're working with divine principle. You guys seen this book before. I showed it to you before. You see anything special about this book? The markers. What do the markers stand for? Who's saying that? Where are you? That's right. The places where you want to remember. You're wrong! Of course, it's the best answer, but you're wrong. I saw this beautiful divine principle, and I think it belongs in the, when you make a history museum, it belongs in the museum with Father's stuff. That divine principle is so beautiful because it has these markers. What these markers stand for, this marker stands for Felix. This marker stands for Marquise. And it shows where each person is in the reading divine principle. They are reading one-on-one. We're over here, I'm not over here, and all of a sudden I see somebody comes, one of the guests comes, and they open up the book like this. What does that book look like now? It's more than half, isn't it? I'm just looking to the side, and they say, ooh, that person has read more than half a divine principle. Cool, cool. Somebody comes, and it's like this, and I'm just aside, I say, wow, they can, And one of the stories Mayoko told me early on, she says, is that people were seeing, they say, hey, Yoko is over here. Look at this. Oh, I got to catch up, and I have to beat her. I got to get ahead of her. Like that. That excited me. It's true what I said about that divine principle book. We all can do it. Yoko set this one up for you guys. I'm in California right now, but it's not only in California. It's in New Jersey now. Mr. Takino is heading up NJIT, the university there, and he's leading people witnessing every Monday, 10:30, honey? Every Monday, 10:30. I was able to go one time. My days off are funny, but I was able to go one time, so I saw it, and I was checking it out. And Atsuki Imamura, he's not here, I think. He is the president. It's pretty cool, right? He's the president of CARP there. And so witnessing there, I think there's a lot of engineers. I mean, there's a lot of boys. And I think we need girl spirits young girl spirits, joyful spirits, attraction, okay? Attraction to help over there. But they're setting up in NJIT. And they're kind of, you have a model now in Pasadena, and they're trying to follow a model simple like that. They're reading Divine Principle, you know, one-on-one. I gave them the idea about this because I'd been there and I'd seen it, you know, with these like this. But it's happened. Even though the one day I was with Yoko, we were able to bring a guest. That guest I know didn't come back, but I think they have ongoing guests. So it means that their marker is moving through Divine Principle. We can teach people Divine Principle. That's a wonderful thing. It's always our responsibility what we accept, but at least if we can teach it, hopefully they can get something out of it, and it can help their lives. So that's part 2. Mama, I have to mention something else? You think it's pretty good? Okay, honey. All right. Oh, you know what? Something weird happened there. Mayoko reminded me about it. I'd forgotten about it. I was staying in Pasadena House. It's the only time I'd ever been there. And while we were there in California, George Kazakos, good host. He really took care of us really well. I could do another talk on him. But it's not usual for me to have dreams, especially clear dreams. And Yoko said I was breathing hard. That's because somebody was drowning in my dream. And right outside of where we were sleeping, they have a pool. They have a pool there. And in the pool, there is a baby. There was a baby drowning. This is a dream, okay? Don't get too nervous. There was a baby drowning. And so, you know, I jumped in to save the baby, but the baby was, you know, not stressed. You know, it wasn't stressful down there, and you know, I brought the baby up. And maybe that's around where Yoko woke me up. But like I said, I never have clear dreams. So what did that mean? I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you, okay? But it's a clear dream. And honestly, I can't remember another one for 5 years, 10 years, long time. I don't remember my dreams. Okay, the last part of my speech, I want you to grab your... these things, these bulletins. Grab your bulletin. If you want it, you can put it up there too. This is the scripture reading today. This scripture reading helped me through one of the major changes in my life recently. Even I'm 61 years old and 60 years old. My wife was saying not so easy for old people to change. I mean, not old people, for 60-year-olds to change. I came to know the story of God's sorrowful history. I came to know of God's heart when he sent Jesus to his tragic fate. So I thought about how I could offer myself for the sake of God's will. While the entire Korean people ridiculed me and the world persecuted me, I loved my enemies more than anyone else in order to bring them back to God. I not only loved them, I even wished blessings on them. Then I thought about how I could leave in my will a request to my sons and daughters that they would bless my enemies and love them on my behalf. This has been my aspiration, and I have paved the way to bring it to pass. Can anyone understand Father when they say that? I'm not that good a person. I can't understand Father at all. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I didn't know what was wrong with him. You know, he's talking about the people that tortured him. I think I've said it before, but if somebody gives me a hard time, I just want to punch him in the face. This is my original fallen nature. But it's true. It's true. I have bad time with this, and maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But the story I'm going to tell, it's about my boss, and the reading that Father gave us there, Yoko told me that actually on January 1st, we were doing the Hundoke in the morning on the phone and with a bunch of people. I didn't know it was January 1st, actually. Yoko reminded me. And I happened to read it again. And I was just crying. Because, you know, Father was too much. Father was too much saying these words. It was too much for me. You know, how anybody could be like that. And also I read a book. I read a really terrible book. I told you I love to read. This book was the autobiography of Geronimo. And it's the opposite of Father's story. Geronimo went trading with the Mexicans. And he had some of his people. You know, his people were here. And he set up a guard. He wasn't the leader. They set up a guard, take care of the people back here. And then they went off to trade with the Mexicans. In the meantime, the Mexicans, sorry you guys, Geronimo is an Indian, if you don't know, I'm sorry, American history. And Geronimo is an Indian who came back, anyway, some Mexicans came back around and they killed many of the people. And like some husband lost his wife, some wife lost a husband, somebody lost a child, but not with Geronimo. He lost everybody. So what do you think was Geronimo's mission for the rest of his life? Kill Mexicans for the rest of his life. So these two things helped me. What Father said and with what Geronimo did. I was actually thinking about the Muslims now, you know, and Palestine at the same time. Like, how can we cure this hatred? I have it. My story is that my boss, come here, Grace. My boss would, he'd be like this. You were 3 minutes late. You know, don't back up, don't back up. You were 3 minutes late. He's spitting at me. He's spitting at me as he's talking. And he'd go into it. And I got this abuse, long time. You can sit down. I got this abuse for about 13 years. One time, it was comic. You should have been there with your camera. It was good. It was really good. I was out on the route. There's a guy mowing the lawn right where I am. He's mowing the lawn. And the boss is in my face. He's screaming at me. I'm screaming back at him. I don't think anybody can hear anything. They can just see people like, like this. And Yoko loves that story, right, Yoko? We're just screaming at each other. I felt so good after it was finished. I felt so good. I was kind of down. He had beat me the day before somehow. And I felt so good. So this day, this happened. We're screaming at each other. It was in the morning now, this time. We're screaming at each other right outside the door of where I have to leave work. And I got walking, and I said to myself, he's an idiot. And I said, and so was I. And I said, I can't control him. I want to tell you something. I read a lot. So I read many books about forgiveness and things like that. Nothing can get through this brain, this way, this way, this way. But somehow, this time, it found the way. It found the way. This incident found the way. It's not just him. It's me. I don't yell at nobody, you know? When they were young, maybe I yelled a little bit, but many, many years, I haven't yelled, except for him, you know? But like I said, it found its way through my brain. And I said, I'm going to say I'm sorry, and I'm going to ask for forgiveness because it's never going to happen again. Not because of him. His nature's the same. Not easy. I'm being nice about that. But not from me. I can control it. I think it's over a year ago, and we get along okay. And it definitely nothing happens from me. My Yoko reminded me of a much tougher story, actually, this morning. And I told her she should have tissues up here because I don't know if I'll make it. I probably won't. So another person at work, and one time he was, I can't remember, but he was going off on me. And he said a lot of bad things about Father and this sort of thing. And at the end, you're just screaming at each other, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm never going to talk to you again. Boom. And that's the way it was. I think Yoko said he made hand gestures at me. Did I return them? I didn't? Oof. That's good. But I think I didn't talk to him for years. And he lost his baby. His first time he had a baby. And after a few days, a week or two, he lost that baby. And I went through it, so I know. I'm so stupid. I had to go up to him and just say, condolences, and I just couldn't help but cry because I know that heart. So it's just that we have to, who can imagine something like that? You can't imagine something like that. We're friends now. We're friends now. You know what? When you hate somebody, I hated him. I hear his laugh. Ugh. It's terrible. It's terrible. But now I hear his laugh, I'm so happy to hear him laugh. Just changing. It's really, like I said, I'm reading all the time. And it's funny because I was reading a book. I'll tell you the name of it. For children, it's a really good book, even for adults. Written by a Chinese lady, Grace Lin. It's Starry River of the Sky. And just in there, it says, how do you end war? And it just said forgiveness. My Yoko said I have to tie this up somehow. And I'm not positive how to tie it up, but love and invest in what's important to you. Okay? Time, listening. Next. Okay. Divine principle and true parents, whose lives did they save? Raise your hands. Now, I don't see too many of the second generation raising their hands. Let me tell you, it made your lives a lot better. It made your lives a lot better and greater also. Your parents, they're cool. They're heroes. And the last one, anyway, try not to hate your boss too much. Cain Abel. In the church, I was always a candy cane. I always got along very well with my Abel, but it was different the other way around. I think I'm going to end it up, but I kind of want to say something about true parents, maybe at the end. This is what I'll say. I'm not a person who believed in true Father being the Messiah. I think it's our doctrine, and I didn't care about that. I'm not saying I didn't believe it and I did not believe it. I just didn't care about it. There were too many other things that were more important to me. So my belief in true Father and true Mother to be the Messiah came over many, many years. Maybe I started thinking about it after 10 years being in the church. But it's deep in my heart. It's not a doctrine for me. has nothing to do with being a doctrine. That man, what I just read about him, that man is so amazing. I call him the lover of lovers. Not me, Yoko. So who did he pick? Who did God pick from? He picked that woman, true mother. Maybe the other half of the lover of lovers. So thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you, brothers and sisters.